So, just when you thought the Snow White saga couldn't possibly get messier, leaked DMs have entered the chat. That's right. In what might be the most damning twist yet, private group messages allegedly from Rachel Zegler have surfaced, revealing brutally candid and frankly cringe-inducing takes on the role of Snow White, her own fans, and the Disney brand she was paid millions to represent. Spoiler alert, she's not exactly singing "Someday My Prince Will Come." Instead, we've got receipts of her mocking Disney adults, dragging the fanbase, and apparently describing her princess role as embarrassing and soulless. Fans are calling her ungrateful, commentators are calling her elitist, and Disney probably calling their lawyer. Because this isn't just another viral controversy, this is a career implosion in real time, and the fallout could send shockwaves through the way Hollywood handles talent, franchises, and fandoms moving forward. Let's break it down. The drama kicked off when screenshots from a private group chat were leaked by what's rumored to be a former friend or acquaintance of Zegler's. The source? Still unconfirmed. The internet doesn't care. They've already turned the messages into memes. In the leaked DMs, allegedly dated during the post-production phase of Snow White. Before we dive into one of the most bizarre and chilling mysteries to ever hit Hollywood, make sure to subscribe if you love deep dives into unsolved cases, hidden truths, and shocking celebrity mysteries. Trust me, this one is going to leave you speechless. Zegler reportedly called the role of Snow White suffocating and soulless, referred to die-hard Disney fans as weirdos who still think princess culture is empowering, said she couldn't wait to be done pretending to smile for the brand. Described the press tour as a cringe parade for boomers and middle-aged nostalgia nerds. Yikes. Even if you're not a Disney fan, those comments sting. But if you are part of that fandom, the one Disney relies on for billions in merch sales, theme park attendance, and multi-generational loyalty, that's basically a declaration of war. Within hours of the leak, "Replace Rachel and Not My Snow White" were trending on Twitter, reaction videos flooded YouTube, and fan accounts started pulling receipts, comparing her past interviews to her leaked comments, and pointing out just how performative her public image may have been. The backlash was immediate and brutal. People who were already side-eyeing Zegler for her condescending press tour comments now felt validated. This wasn't a misunderstood joke or a bad take out of context. These were private thoughts, seemingly confirming what many fans had feared all along. She never wanted this role. She never respected the fans. She thinks she's better than us. Major Disney fan accounts began unfollowing her, issuing statements condemning the comments, and calling for her to be recast in future appearances, including planned Disney Puff promotional material and theme park branding. Some fans even launched petitions to have her removed from the official Disney princess lineup, arguing that her attitude directly contradicts the values the brand has spent decades cultivating. Even worse, her critics weren't just longtime Disney stans. General audiences who maybe didn't care about Snow White one way or another began piling on, seeing this as yet another example of Hollywood elites looking down on the very people who give them their platforms. The damage was everywhere. Now, here's where things get telling. Disney has said nothing. No statement defending Zegler, no "we stand by our cast" tweet, no denial, not even a corporate "we are aware of the situation" placeholder. And if you know Disney, you know that kind of silence isn't neutral, it's strategic. It means the company is assessing liability, brand risk, and potential termination clauses. Behind the scenes, insiders say there have been internal calls between the marketing and legal teams, trying to determine whether Zegler violated any terms of her contract regarding brand integrity, if this constitutes a morality clause breach, and whether she can be quietly phased out of Snow White-related appearances moving forward. One studio source reportedly told a trade outlet off record, "At this point, she's not worth the trouble." Translation? Disney sees the risk of keeping her around as greater than the backlash of letting her go. Which, if true, is huge. We're not just talking about removing her from a press tour, we're talking about a potential career freeze-out from one of the biggest content empires on the planet. Remember when Snow White dropped 66% in its second weekend? That was already humiliating. But following the leak, things got even worse. Theaters began pulling screenings due to low attendance. Merchandise sales dropped further, and industry projections now say the film could end up with one of the worst return on investment ratios in Disney history. Considering its ballooning 200, some insiders have even called it a soft pull. where Disney starts subtly minimizing the film's visibility on its own platforms, including search visibility on Disney+, to avoid drawing attention to a toxic asset. Even international markets, which usually provide a soft landing for US box office bombs, have responded with disinterest or confusion. With the leak going viral globally, it's now bad PR in multiple languages. And guess who's getting blamed? Not the script, not the effects, not the weird tone. Zegler. At this point, the Zegler meltdown isn't just a scandal, it's a warning to the industry. Executives and PR teams are reportedly reevaluating how they manage young talent, especially those who rose to fame on social media and are used to speaking their minds with zero filter. One studio rep put it bluntly, "The audience doesn't care if a star is young and learning. If they trash the brand or insult fans, it's over. There's no grace period anymore." What's happening to Rachel is a masterclass in the dangers of overexposure, particularly when a studio banked its entire legacy reboot on one face, and that face doesn't play ball. Now, other Gen Z stars are reportedly being told to clean up their digital footprints, avoid off-brand statements, and stay out of politics unless they're extremely well-informed and on message. In other words, studios are building guardrails because the Rachel Zegler effect is real and nobody wants to go down with the next Snow White. Zegler's downfall also raises a bigger cultural question: has the era of speak your truth finally hit a wall? Because for the last 5 years, Hollywood has encouraged stars, especially young women, to be authentic, to speak out, to challenge the status quo. And that's a good thing, in theory. But when that outspokenness starts to feel like mockery, elitism, or disrespect toward fans, the same public that once cheered now turns vicious. Zegler's brand of Gen Z honesty, blunt, edgy, sarcastic, may have played well in a West Side Story press tour, but applied to the world of Disney nostalgia, it reads as cynical, smug, and out of touch. It's not that she was wrong for having opinions, it's that she picked the worst time, tone, and target to share them. And now she's learning the hard way that not all audiences are as forgiving as TikTok. Behind closed doors, Rachel Zegler's team is in full-on triage mode. What started as a standard young star navigates fame arc has now become a PR war room scenario, with reps, agents, and crisis managers pulling 18-hour days trying to contain the narrative. Sources say there are now restrictions on Rachel's communications with the press, even off the record. No informal chats, no casual Instagram lives, and absolutely no interviews without triple clearance from legal, PR, and at least one studio stakeholder. Her agents, once proudly parading her as the future of prestige meets mainstream, are now reportedly divided. One faction believes she can survive the fallout with the right pivot project. Another is allegedly preparing to pause her booking outreach entirely, worried that pitching her right now could backfire on them too. And if her team fractures, that's when stars usually spiral fast, because no one wants to manage an actor whose name has become PR poison. Act 8, The Hunger Games problem. Lionsgate is nervous, and here's where it gets even worse. Rachel Zegler isn't done promoting projects. She's still the face of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the Hunger Games prequel that by all accounts is shaping up to be a decent hit. But now, Lionsgate is sweating bullets. The studio reportedly had a tight promo plan lined up. Interviews, red carpets, influencer crossovers, the whole works. But the Snow White group chat leak, total derailment. Publicly, Zegler's still in the lineup, but privately, sources say Lionsgate is considering scaling back her presence in marketing, cutting segments from junkets where she overshadows the cast, pushing other actors like Tom Blythe to the front of the press circuit, re-editing trailers to minimize her screen time in ads. Why? Because they've watched what happened to Disney and they don't want the smoke. It's not even about whether Rachel's a good actor anymore. It's about whether audiences can separate the art from the attitude. And right now, that's a gamble no one wants to take. Act 9, Hollywood's private group chats go silent. In the most ironic twist ever, the group chat leak that torched Zegler's image has now triggered a wave of digital paranoia in the industry. Actors, writers, and creators who once casually spilled tea in private DMs and group chats are now scrambling to clean house. WhatsApp groups disbanded, Signal threads wiped, Slack servers muted indefinitely. There's even talk of some A-listers hiring digital security consultants to audit their phones for any messages that could be weaponized against them if they ever found themselves in Zegler's position. Because the real lesson here, Privacy isn't real anymore, and off the record only matters if the person you're talking to stays loyal, which clearly didn't happen in Zegler's case. Now everyone's thinking twice before they joke, vent, or rant, even in private, because in the age of cancel culture and content farming, everything is screenshot bait. Meanwhile, over at Disney Plus, execs are panicking for a different reason. Snow White's streaming debut was supposed to be the soft rebound, the chance to give the film a second wind with family audiences, casual watchers, and international subscribers. But now, Disney Plus is reportedly delaying the release, or at the very least de-emphasizing it, with some insiders describing it as a slow rollout without marketing. Why? Because the leak has made the film too radioactive to push. They can't run ads without triggering fan backlash. They can't promote the title card without risking another round of memes, and they definitely don't want to platform Rachel Zegler as a face of the service while subscribers are still angrily eyeing them. Worse, internal analytics reportedly show a drop in interest around Zegler-related content on the platform, suggesting that even passive audiences are starting to tune out. That's bad, like algorithm killing bad, because when your lead actress starts driving negative engagement, the AI treats her like a threat, and that affects visibility across the entire platform. One of the ugliest side effects of this whole mess? The civil war between Disney fan factions. You've got traditionalist Disney adults who feel betrayed by Zegler's elitist comments. Gen Z stans who used to support her and are now pulling their edits off TikTok. Political accounts hijacking the discourse to push their own agendas. And still others defending Zegler, saying the leak was a violation of privacy and shouldn't define her. The result? Absolute chaos. Comment sections have become war zones. Reddit threads are getting locked by mods. Even neutral Disney influencers, people who post park tips and plush reviews, are being dragged for not picking a side. And through it all, Disney's getting hit from every angle, accused of mishandling the messaging, failing to discipline the star, and pushing woke content while still being tone-deaf in execution. It's not just bad PR, it's brand fragmentation. And that's almost impossible to fix once it starts. Here's the behind-the-scenes bit that says it all. Multiple PR firms are now using Rachel Zegler as a training example. Seriously, sources say her downfall, particularly the group chat leak, is now part of onboarding curriculum at least 2 major Hollywood PR firms. New reps are being taught how to vet client group chats for leak risk, how to coach stars on the tone and content of private communications, how to respond to scandal with measured silence versus overreaction, how to negotiate apology strategies that don't feed the flames. Zegler is now the case study, and while that might seem useful for future stars, it's devastating for her legacy. Because once your name becomes a chapter in the What Not to Do handbook, it's very hard to land a redemption arc. At this point, one question keeps popping up. Who's still backing Rachel Zegler? Her fan base? Fractured. Disney ghosting her. Her co-stars? Radio silent. The media running with the story daily. Even former allies in the industry, filmmakers, producers, stylists, are distancing themselves. Some have quietly untagged her in photos. Others have declined to comment when asked for statements. There are whispers that one upcoming indie project quietly dropped her after the leak, citing creative differences. And as more stars try to recover from online flubs with vulnerability or tearful interviews, Rachel's been noticeably absent. No apology, no clarification, no counter-narrative, just silence, which is starting to feel like a void she can't fill. Not unless she makes a massive strategic pivot soon.